G'day and welcome to Season 3 of Harvestable by AgriDigital. Join co-founders Emma Weston and Ben Reed in this 8-part mini-series as they delve into the transformative power of data in agribusiness, exploring AI's impact, supply chain transparency, and the future of data-driven grain management. In this episode, we're thrilled to be joined by Andrew Tighe, CFO of Boolah Farms and Pure Grain.
Hey everyone, my name is Jins Kadwood. I am the Chief Technology and Data Officer at AgriDigital, and you're here on the Harvestable podcast, hosted by AgriDigital. Today's topic is actually quite interesting. It's called The Challenges and Opportunities of Getting Technical with Data. I think as more and more farms and agribusinesses become attuned to data and using the data opportunity to grow their businesses and scale, there's a lot of different opportunities but challenges that come with that as well. So I've got a really interesting and amazing guest to join us today. His name is Andrew Tighe. He comes from both Boolah Farms and Pure Grain. Hey Andrew, how are you going today?
Good, thanks, Jins.
Lovely to have you on and join us here at Harvestable.
Excellent. Yeah, glad to be here.
No worries. So I thought just to kick it off, for those that don't know who you are, if you just give a quick background of who you are, maybe a bit of bio and your involvement in both Pure Grain and Boolah.
Sure. Okay. So first job out of high school was as a bean counter. Worked for an accounting firm in Sydney, was doing studies to get my CPA, but moved into the fast-moving consumer goods industry and joined a company called MARS that makes pet food and chocolate and food for human consumption in their Japan office. So I've long had an interest in Japan. I studied Japanese in high school. In fact, in my days, it was compulsory to study Japanese in high school. And it was in the peak of the Japan bubble. And Australia was infatuated with Japan and providing support to schools that taught it. So I was learning Japanese and I went to Japan on exchange. And my time in Mars was actually all in the Tokyo office, and I became the CFO of the Japan Mars business. But I'm originally from a farming background. I grew up on a sheep and cattle farm in the New England, northern New South Wales. I never had much interest in it at the time. My brother was, but I was just keen to get away from the farm as quickly as possible. And any 2-story house or a town with traffic lights excited me back then. And I ended up going to the far extreme and living in Tokyo for, in total, about 15, 16 years. But my kids were born there and grew up there. But just before COVID kicked in, actually, in hindsight, it was good timing. I had kids that couldn't speak English and my parents were getting older, and I thought I'd take a sea change and come back to the agricultural industry, and came back to Australia and started working for my father on that sheep farm for a bit, but I wasn't very good at that. Wanted to find somewhere I could leverage my bean counting and skills. So I started working for my brother, who had founded Boolah Farms and Pure Grain. And I've been with them now as their CFO for 4.5 years.
Oh, amazing. That's amazing. So what's the difference between Boolah and Pure Grain?
So Boolah is the entity that provides farm management and can't run it themselves, either corporate landholders or retiring farmers managing the farms for them. Risk in this volatile weather environment we find ourselves in, we get landholders to contribute their land into a joint venture that's then managed as one big farm business. And the decisions we make from day to day, always in the interest of giving the best return to the group as a whole, to try and remove conflicts of interest when you're managing historically different separate contracts with different landholders. In that situation, when a storm was coming over the hill, they were getting phone calls from several landholders at once trying to get or such. And so partly to do away with that conflict of interest, and also to mitigate, to spread our geographical footprint so that, and take out the peaks and troughs of farming and get a more stable return, we developed a co-farming model. So the main customer of Boolah Farms is one big joint venture that has multiple investors contributing land into it. And for not only that joint venture, but for other local growers as well who warehouse grain with us. So that's Boolah. And then it has a sister company under a common head that is called Pure Grain. And Pure Grain is a grain trade facilitator, which connects growers, including that joint venture, but other ones as well, directly to end users of grain, and uses a value share model where we share the benefits of directly connecting the growers and cutting out middlemen, having an open pricing methodology where we show the customer, the buyer of the grain, all the costs that are incurred in moving that grain directly from a farmer's storage site or our Boolah farm sites to their plants. And we also show then the grower the sale price and all the costs involved, which leads to a margin that would otherwise be taken by traders in the middle, and Pure Grain shares in that margin.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Pure Grain doesn't trade grain. It doesn't buy grain or hold inventory itself. It doesn't expose itself to price, but it facilitates trade and then executes the delivery of grain into those plants in such a way that maintains the traceability of the grain and in a way that enables us to provide a lot of data, evaluating data that comes with that grain, because we know its provenance, we know where it was grown, we have a lot of data on how it was grown, and so we partner with users of grain that value that type of data.
That's very fascinating, and it's a great segue into the whole aspect of what you see as the role of data. So Pure Grain obviously has the trading aspect of it all, and Boolah from a farm aspect. Do you see the role of data being different in each of the businesses, or are there commonalities? And what are those roles that the data plays in the business?
The roles are a little different. For Boolah Farms, having data that is in live, up to date, in real time, and accurate as much as possible to enable better quality decision making, faster, better quality decision making is one. And for that joint venture, the good quality available data enables better engagement with them, as well as to the customers, provides our customers with real-time availability of what grain is in our network and the quality attributes of that grain, so that the users can draw down on particular segs that suited for their needs and can chop and change in alignment with whatever they're trying to achieve, what their next batch of manufacturing will be. Pure also, so we don't only provide the commodity, we also provide the data that comes with it.
I really like that term, C plus D.
Yeah, commodity plus data. And Pure, one of its other functions is that it can verify claims that the users of grain, manufacturers of food or drink that use grain, if they want to make certain claims in their advertising, we're able to verify those claims because we have that traceability. We know the source where the grain was grown, how it was grown, the carbon footprint on it, the biodiversity stewardship employed by those growers, etc. That's where they see a value in partnering with Pure to do their procurement on their behalf.
That's really
connecting them directly to the growers and enabling them to foster a relationship with the growers. So that gets the growers, it's a win for the growers as well because they have more reliable markets. They know where their grain is going, and in the day's end, they get a better farm gate price for it.
Yeah, that's very fascinating. It shows just how powerful data can be when you apply it to different decision-making options like that. Now, Boolah and Pure Grain just didn't have data available ready to go straight away. You clearly had to do some sort of investment in the data and the digital infrastructure to support that. What sort of investment did you have to do, and what does that look like?
Yeah, so we've invested into a system that tries to, pulls in data from various growers, interfacing with the different platforms they have, which is one of the challenges. It's not easy when it's a very diverse, fragmented market and growers and different systems and platforms being used. But the system we're developing in Pure that enables that to be consolidated and aggregated in a way that can then be presented to the users. Initially, it all started with just trying to go paperless and just be able to work more remotely. We've got my team spread from Melbourne in the south. I've got someone working for me from Japan in the business, to Brisbane in the north, and from me, I I'm based in Armidale, North New South Wales. People working for me in Walgett and the Pilliga.
Wow.
And Boolah we partnered up with a farm record keeping app maker that enabled the paddock records to be used for not only just for accounting and back office admin purposes, but aggregated into meaningful data that can be then presented to the customers we use. So there was an investment made in there as well. And using systems like AgriDigital that have portals that the customers can log into, like I was talking about earlier, and enables them to see where their grain is and the quality attributes with that grain. So those are the types of investments and efforts we've been making in the data and digital space.
Yeah, it's really good. When you make those investments and you've created the data availability, what are the sort of, I guess, products the data products you're using directly or others are using directly? Are they dashboards or questions or reports?
That's another area. Well, that's area the system is working on, is being able to present data in a digestible, meaningful format that adds value for the customer and the grower alike. And dashboards is one of them. And that involves aggregating the data and presenting it in a way that adds that value.
Yeah. So what sort of questions are you or the others in your team at either Boolah or at Pure or even the customers trying to answer with this data? So now that you've got all this data there and that you're presenting it, what are those questions that are being used or created to understand how to make the business grow and profitable and generate more and more revenue and growth?
So with the big focus these days on carbon footprint and the environmental impacts of broadacre farming, there's a lot of questions around in that space, really. So that's what's driving it, and that's on an ever increasing trend. Consumers having more and more interest in that aspect of what they're consuming, and our customers, which are the manufacturers making the product, want to be able to provide that and be able to claim that provenance and the relationship they have with the growers and get more involved and aware of how the growers are making efforts in that space.
Yeah, very fascinating there. So tell me about your team here, because data is something that is becoming more and more prevalent, and there's skills that are specific to data analysts, managers. Tell me about your technical team or your data team. Do you have specific data people or data managers or analysts in your team?
We employ in contractors. We don't have a full-time one yet, but in our next growth phase, we plan to have one. That's one of the challenges we've found is in developing our own system, is that if it's all outsourced to city slickers, no offense to you, Jins,
No, none taken. It's okay.
In the industry, there becomes a bumpy ride. And so we have learnt past few years, the more we can do in-house with that innate knowledge, the day-to-day understandings of the goings-on of grain and grain growing is important. So we have transitioned to in-housing that a lot, or directly employing via contract data specialists who can help us build those dashboards.
Yeah.
And aggregate the data in a way that's consistent, that avoids manual data manipulation and the risks of errors and misleading results that can come out of that if it's just simply one adding up different data inputs without knowing the differences between the different platforms and how that data flows in.
It's very important being able to know that relationship between the inputs and the processing and the outputs. And I'm sure as a CFO, you look at a lot of different charts and numbers, and just the skill of interpreting a chart is something in its own right. And is that something that you are seeing in both businesses, where the training is needed to be provided to others in the team of just even interpreting the data?
That's right. How to use it and how to interpret it, and training in that space. We're all getting much better at that, but it's a journey we're all on. We need to get better and better, and the data availability becomes more and more. That's on an ever expanding exponential increasing curve, but the old saying, rubbish in, rubbish out
Yeah, yeah,
applies. So educating people on how to team, on how to be able to present that data, make use of it, is a key focus, no doubt.
Have you found any, or has Boolah or Pure Grain found any strategies that has worked very well to help others in the team or customers understand not just the value of data, but how to interpret that data and then use that data to make a better decision?
Yeah, face-to-face workshops where we spend half a day looking at it and how to use it, how to leverage it, is we found to be effective and enable that. Whilst working remotely, as I spoke about earlier, is great. There is still value in getting together and educating us, everyone at the same time on those sorts of areas, for sure.
Yeah. So we've talked about what you've done now and how you're using that to make better decisions in the business, and even the training aspect of helping others in the team grow. So where to from here? Where does Bula and Pure Grain take the data from here? I know you have big ambitions to grow, but what sort of investments are you looking to make in the data?
Yeah, continued investment in this space. We've got a 5-year roadmap for our particular system. We are partnering up with some of the investors in the joint venture to build dashboards that better show the benefits and effects of the regenerative agricultural practices we're using. We are well into the journey of starting carbon and farming projects, and that requires a lot of data and audits and so forth. So we continue to invest in this space as one of our pillars of growth.
Yeah, it's very good.
We can see that that's the trend is undeniable and continuing, and to win and keep ahead of the competition in this industry, the better you are in this space, that's going to be the differentiator.
I really love that. I think that's a very topical aspect of this as well, because gone are the days where it's just about the efficiency of the process, but it's also about the efficiency of using data as the competitive advantage. And I don't want to just jump on the trend bandwagon here, but do you see any aspects of how data feeds into the artificial intelligence or the AI aspects that are coming up?
It's an area we probably not as advanced as we'd like to be when it gets to AI. We're still grappling just with reflecting and presenting the impact of the farming practices that are being deployed by all the farms and our other growers.
Yeah.
But I'm sure it will continue. So yeah, just in the last week, actually, I've been stepping more into the AI space and building some macros and data management tools just using ChatGPT. It's amazing what that resource is when you learn how to leverage it.
Yeah, certainly.
Yeah, it can code for you and it can do a lot of the educating for us, I'm starting to realize.
From a financial perspective and a forecasting perspective, what are your thoughts around, I guess, predictive analytics and predictive forecasting of using that data to see trends that could potentially happen? Is that something that might be useful for either a company like Bula or Pure Grain?
Yeah, definitely would be useful. I mean, it's one of the hardest areas, I think, to crack, but that's where the real cream lies. If we can get that predictive aspect accurate and working, that boosts everything, really.
What use cases do you think could be used for that? So if we could predict, I don't know, pricing of a commodity over the next couple of weeks, is that something that you would see would be a game changer?
Absolutely. So one of the most challenging aspects of agriculture, like I said, because it's such fragmented industry with many suppliers, but in the day's end, the price comes down to supply and demand. The ability to more accurately know that supply and map out or forecast pricing trends would be an absolute game changer and one of the hardest areas at the moment is not having that visibility. Always, as just the nature of the game, being slave to the weather and the weather patterns. So even just, we've seen improvements, and everyone is benefiting, I think, from the gradually improving ability to forecast out weather patterns. But getting sharper on that, or even a shorter term focus, perhaps on the availability of the upcoming the production. There are estimates out there, but highly aggregated, nationwide, not so area specific. And if there was future state where we know what grain is coming into silos and storage sites, and know what's already contracted, and then the market becomes much more manageable.
Yeah, definitely. I'm going to just quickly go to something a bit more topical and more recent in the news as well. I'm not sure if you follow the Food Agility newsletter or anything, but they recently published a data sharing agreement where they explained that it provides a way for the industry to provide best practices in developing a template for data sharing between businesses in agribusiness for collecting, managing, and sharing farmers' data. First of all, I guess, have you had a chance to see it? And if you have, even if you haven't, I guess, what are your thoughts on these sort of standardization processes to help manage the sharing of data between farmers and others in the industry?
Yeah, I'm very interested in it. I did do a podcast with the Food Agility people a few months ago, with AgriDigital actually, and it's very exciting. But one of the challenges is, and this is where Pure Grain is very solid behind its strategy of direct connection to growers and between growers and end users, because that type of data sharing and visibility is not in the interest of some of the players in the industry at the moment. The traders would prefer the obfuscation, I think, in the market at the moment, getting that more transparent pricing would be an absolute game changer, and one for the benefit of the growers in the long run, but at the expense, I feel, of some of the players at the moment.
Amazing. So thank you so much, Andrew. That's been a really interesting and fascinating conversation around data. I personally honestly could talk for a lot more, but I don't know how long listeners would want to be listening for. But I really appreciate you coming on and joining us on Harvestable. So thank you very much for that.
No, thank you for the opportunity to come on, and I've enjoyed working closely with AgriDigital in this area over the last 4 years, and look forward to continue doing so.
Amazing. I'm sure we're going to be investing a lot more in our data capabilities as well.
Yes, and look forward to being a part of that.
Thanks, Andrew.
Thanks, Jins.
Thank you for tuning in to Harvestable by AgriDigital. We hope you found value in today's conversation. Join us next week as we delve deeper into the world of agribusiness and data. Until then, stay curious and keep harvesting insights.